Guys, Emily Gunkelman here with National Corporate Training. Just going to talk about principles of assessment, fairness, and flexibility. Here's your mnemonic. Very fast red Ferrari. Very easy way to remember it. So we've got valid, fair, reliable, and flexible. Okay, great. So when it comes to fairness, what are we talking about here? Well, fairness, equity, that whole side of thing is giving everybody the opportunity, okay, to have the same chance of getting a satisfactory result, a competent result in whatever the assessment task is. What is that? That's the candidate being fully informed of the expectation. So if I tell Susan, come in, we're going to judge you on your clapping. Come on in, clap for us and sit down. She comes in, claps, sits down. Then Joe, I have a bit of a chat to him. I say, Joe, when you come in, I want you to clap 10 times in a circle with this really goofy smile on your face while jumping on one leg, and as loud as you possibly can, palm to palm, right now. And he comes in, he's like, he does the whole thing, sits down. So Susan gets not yet satisfactory, and the other guy gets satisfactory. That's not fair. Everybody's got to have the same information up front. Everybody's got to have the same opportunity to be able to get a satisfactory outcome, a successful outcome. So we want to recognize when there's any type of adjustment that needs to be made as well. Okay, and this also comes into flexibility. So our assessment tool is flexible in that, if you're sick, that's okay. You've missed the assessment date. Look, we'll be flexible with that. We want to give you the same right and opportunity as everybody else to prove your competency. So let's just schedule it another time, because you have the choice to be assessed, and that's part of your right, and that's part of us being flexible with that. Let's say you need a little bit more time to get it done. Okay, so you need a little bit more time. We'll negotiate that time frame, or perhaps you need a step ladder because you can't take the thing off the shelf and bring it down to show me that you can do things, with occupational health and safety where someone really tall didn't need that. That's okay. Here's a ladder. You can still show me the skill of taking something off the shelf. Or let's just say you broke your arm. You can't write. That's okay. You read the question and tell me out loud what your answer is. I'll scribe it for you, and we'll just we'll take a little video of this happening so we've got some authenticity of it, and there you go. So I'm going to make that adjustment for you. You're a bit colorblind, or maybe you're a bit, you have some visual impairment, and you would really appreciate if I printed everything on blue paper. Okay, well that's not going to infringe on the integrity of the unit. You could still show me your competency. It's just printed on blue paper. So making reasonable adjustments is about making an adjustment to the assessment process or an adjustment to the assessment itself, as long as it doesn't hinder on the integrity of the unit. For example, if the unit says must write out a menu, they cannot verbally tell you the menu. They need to write it out. So they have to have that language literacy and numeracy ability, and they need to show that they can literally write it out to industry standard. If it says type an email, okay, they cannot write an email on a piece of paper. They need to be able to, go into an actual email account and type it in because the unit said type. So, we want to look at critical aspects and be really careful with this area. And critical aspects, if there's a particular piece of equipment that needs to be made available or has to be done in a particular piece of equipment, or something has to be done a certain way, then you got to make sure it needs to be done a certain way. So we can't make a reasonable adjustment for someone who wants to take an electrician unit and they're colorblind and they can't tell the difference between red and blue because, how am I going to make the adjustment for that? Because in the workplace, you need to be able to tell the difference. And maybe there's a way that the colorblind person is able to 100% always get the green and blue correct. Well, then that's a different story. Okay, what's the adjustment there? Because you've got to be able to make that adjustment in the workplace and get paid for this. So I'm not going to adjust anything in the assessment process or the assessment itself that's going to take away from the fact that, you can do your job. For example, if someone doesn't speak English, and so you go, oh, that's okay, we'll bring in an interpreter. However, when they go and get a job, is the interpreter just going to be with them the whole time? Or do they actually need to be able to fill in a form or communicate verbally in English? So this is about setting people up for success in the job. So fairness, flexibility, being flexible with what people's needs are, making sure everybody has the information up front of what the expectations are, and then also when it comes to flexibility, that if I see competence, it's my obligation to acknowledge that. So, if I'm witnessing your competence in something, then as an assessor, right, I'm going, okay, whoa, look at that. Let's use that, right? Rather than saying, nope, I'm sorry, you must do it this way. So we're being flexible with our pathways, using recognition of prior learning. Maybe I grab a piece of evidence that, you did a couple weeks ago, and that actually takes the place of something that we do in class. Fantastic. That's part of me being flexible. It's part of the system being flexible, and we need to acknowledge competence when we see it and honor people's prior learning and prior skills. So there's fairness in flexibility in the principles of assessment. Thanks for watching.